there, I'm Ned. And I'm Lee. Yeah, today we watched a movie starring The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, you might know him as. You might. And it's his first movie. Really? Yep, his first full-length movie. He had appeared in The Mummy Returns. Oh, who did he play in that? He played the same character that he plays in this, only about 200 years later. Ah, actually more like 800 years later. Right. So who? Well, the person who plays in this, Matthias, the Scorpion King. The Scorpion King. Let's get into it. The Scorpion King was released in 2002. It lasts an hour and 28 minutes. It stars The Rock. It stars Michael Clark Duncan and Kelly who? Who? Kelly who? Who? Kelly who? I'm so confused. So, you've seen this before? Yeah, well, I'm like you, I'm a big wrestling fan. Yeah. And when The Rock made his first movie, I could not wait to see it. And do you know what happened? What? I won a ticket to go and see it, well, a pair of tickets, and I won a Scorpion King t-shirt. Ah, when is this? Well, when the movie came out in 2002. Alright, still got it. Well, not the tickets, I had to hand them over. Right, the t-shirt, I've still got the t-shirt. What size? Well, it's size small, but at the time I was really skinny. And it fitted me quite well. I didn't get to choose the size. I was just sent that size. So they sent me that and it fitted nicely because I was dead skinny. And now, let's move on. So the Scorpion King begins in a snowy landscape. I thought it was all in the desert, Egypt and places like that. Well, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it opens in a snowy landscape. But it does, and it's like, I don't know, Viking hoarders or something. They're all celebrating in this little hut because they've captured an Acadian. Ah, what's an Acadian? There are different tribes around the lands at this time. Right, so they've captured an Acadian and he's tied up. And the Acadian says, I hope God has mercy on your soul because my brother won't. And then his brother comes to the rescue. It's The Rock! And he comes in and he comes in through the chimney and causes a big smoke cloud, and he comes through the smoke cloud and he goes, it's just no! No, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. He comes through the smoke cloud and he goes, boo. It's pretty cool. And all the women run off and all the Vikings try to fight him and he beats them up and he takes them all out easily and then rescues his brother and then it's the lieutenant titles. Yeah. A narrator speaking and he tells us of an evil king who is ruling over all of Egypt and no one dares to take him down because Memnon has this sorcerer, he has his armies and everyone's afraid to overthrow him. But everyone wants to. Yeah, he's just scared of the sorcerer's magic. Yeah. So late one night there's a clandestine meeting between all the kings of the different tribes, kings and queens and rulers of the different tribes of Egypt. And there seems to be one older gentleman, one king, who seems to be in charge of everyone. He's like higher up than everyone else. Yeah, and he seems like a nice guy, and he says you can take out, what's his name? Memnon. Memnon, yeah. So he says we can take out Memnon if we can get rid of his sorcerer. So I know how we can get rid of the sorcerer. If we get rid of the sorcerer, will you all fight? And they'll say, yeah, we'll fight, yeah. In comes The Rock, Matthias, and his brother. I don't know his name. But this king has hired Acadians and assassinate the sorcerer. Yep. And then they can all take out Memnon. And peace will reign throughout the land. Until the next one, not to fight. Yeah. So the very next night, The Rock and his brother, call him Matthias, right, Matthias, soon to be Scorpion King. At the moment, just Matthias, The Rock. Matthias and his brother sneak into this camp where they know the sorcerer is. And it's one of Memnon's camps. It's not in the palace. It's not in Memnon's palace. It's just in a camp. And they've been told the sorcerer will be in this tent, this specific tent at this specific time. So they run up, well, they sneak up, and they open up the tent. Yeah, and guess what? There's like 20 of Memnon's guards and they all fired arrows to take out Matthias's brother. They do. Matthias managed to jump out the way. Yeah, what a jump. He manages to jump from a standing start up onto the top of the tent. Yeah, it's a bit athletic. Yeah, sure. But he carries on with his job and he goes to the sorcerer's tent. He goes in, pulls out his sword, and the sorcerer is a sorceress. Yeah, it's a lady. A beautiful lady. And she turns around and she says, I know who you are, Matthias. I know why you're here, and you have been set up. Sorry. Yep, she knows he's been set up, and then a lot more armed guards come in, and they capture Matthias, and we find out the old king, the one who was sort of in charge of everyone, yeah, it's his son. His own son! He betrayed everyone. He wants to be Memnon's right-hand man. He wants to be his best pal. Okay, right. And he's cut off his own dad's head. Yeah, that's right. Now, while they were in this camp, just before Matthias' brother was taken down, we see another prisoner who was tied up, and he's a horse thief. His name's Arpid, and he was tied up, and he kept going on and ranting and rambling, and he just won't shut up. Like, yeah, nope, I was waiting for that. And when we meet him, we think, hopefully we'll never meet him again. However, when Matthias is captured, he's knocked out, and then he wakes up the next morning and he's buried in sand up to his neck. Yep, right next to Arpid, who is also buried up to sand in his neck. Yeah, buried up to sand. Buried up to his neck in sand. Yeah, okay. And there are fire ants heading towards them. Yeah, and they're going to eat the skin off their faces and eat their eyeballs and all that. Lovely stuff, yeah. But somehow Arpid manages to just escape from the hole. Yeah, how does he do that? I don't know. We never find out. I mean, he's buried up to his neck in sand, tightly packed. He looks at the guards who are there to make sure nothing goes wrong. There are 2 guards, I think, and Arpid is watching them, and when one of them goes to use the bathroom, Matthias looks away, looks back, and he sees Arpid has escaped. We never find out how. Nonsense! Well, anyway, Arpid goes and knocks out the guards, sneaks up on them from behind and knocks them out. And then he says, I'll free you, Acadian, if you'll take me on your great adventures and we can be partners. So Matthias reluctantly says, okay. Yeah, but until then, he's crushing ants with his chin and he's chewing them and spitting them out and things like that. Yeah, yeah. But Arpid gets him out. They both set off on Matthias' trusty steed, a camel. Yeah. Yep, he doesn't like horses, so he uses a camel. I'll give you the hunt. They head back to the city, where the palace is, because Matthias wants revenge. Yeah, he's not happy. Sneak into the city walls, and Arpid takes a seat at a bar, which is fine. Yeah, because he won't shut up, and he'd be no use to anyone anyway. So he sits there and has a little drink and something to eat. Meanwhile, Matthias goes looking for a way into the palace. He meets a group of little kids and he asks them if they can help him. So instead they steal his purse, which is full of rubies. Yeah, he's loaded. Yeah, he has. They steal it and they run off and he gives chase and he catches one of them, but then it turns out it's another one who's got his purse, so he catches him and kind of befriends him. And he says, you can have one of these rubies if you help me find a way into the palace. Yeah, so the kid's like, right, go through here, down there and along there, and that's it. Yeah, so Matthias pays him and sneaks into the palace. Yeah, he goes in through the dungeons, and in the dungeons he meets this guy, this crazy old inventor guy, who's like, I've invented this thing. I guess it's called gunpowder. Yeah, I don't know if he invented it. Yeah, he's not Chinese. Yeah. So Matthias tells the inventor why he's here. He plans to take out Memnon. Yeah, and the inventor says, okay, well, go through that corridor and up that ladder and you'll get a good shot. So that's what Matthias does. He climbs up this ladder and he's at the top of a tower in the palace. Now, meanwhile, Memnon is practicing his combat skills. A bit of sparring practice with some guys, and then he's getting his guards to fire arrows at him. And he's so fast that he can catch arrows, he can deflect arrows, but his big party trick is he catches arrows when they're fired at him. Yeah, he just catches them between his two hands, and it's pretty cool, yeah. And while this is going on, Matthias is watching him and he decides, okay, I'll fire an arrow at his head. That'll be the end of Nennon. But just as he's about to fire, guess what happens? Well, I've seen it, I don't need to guess. Well, yeah, the kid that showed Matthias the way into the palace, he's brought in as a thief. They say, we found this kid and he's got a ruby. He must have stolen it. Yeah, and they're going to cut his hands off. That'll teach you, kid. We didn't do anything wrong. Well, he stole Matthias's horse. Well, no, right, okay. But anyway, so Matthias has to make a decision. Is he going to take out Memnon, or is he going to take out the guards who are trying to cut off this little kid's hand? Guess what he does? Saves the kid. Yeah, of course he saves the kid. So he has to flee, and he goes back down the ladder and into the dungeon where the crazy inventor is, and he says, I need a way out of here. And the inventor says, well, that's the only way out of here. But Matthias notices something in the corner. He says, what's this? And the inventor says, oh, well, I've not really used it. And what it is a giant catapult. Yeah, so Matthias just sits in it and cuts the rope and fires himself like half a mile into the air. And he comes crashing down into this other building, and it's all these beautiful women, scantily clad, and they all say, oh, we're Nennon's harem, that he never pays us a visit. Maybe you could help keep us entertained. But then all the guards come in the room and ruin it. So once again, Matthias has to flee. He jumps out of the window. Yeah, and two guards try to jump after him, and they land on a solid slate roof, and he falls through like a skylight. Luckily, he falls through a skylight into another room, which is a bathroom. Yeah, and it's the sorceress's bathroom, and she's in the bath, naked. And she stands up, and Matthias just looks at her, and she says, yeah, I'll give you a towel then. So yeah, he gives her a towel. And then he jumps in the water with her, because the guards start coming in, and he says, hold your breath. And then they basically escape down a plug hole. Yeah. I mean, it's a big plug hole, but still, it's a plug hole. They end up coming out in the city in a well. It's a bit funny because the little boy has just thrown a coin into the well and made a wish. So then the sorceress stands up and she's naked, and the little boy's like, oh, my wish has come true. Matthias, the sorceress, and Arpid all get back in the camel and they head off to Valley of the Dead. Sounds nice. Now they're being hunted, so Memnon's guards follow them into the desert, into the Valley of the Dead. But there's a big sandstorm coming, but Matthias knows how to use this to his advantage. Yeah, so he puts on a blindfold to protect his eyes, he tells the others to take shelter, and he goes and he waits in the sandstorm and starts taking out guards one by one like a ghost in the night. Okay, and then he leads them into a cave. Yeah, and it's not all the same. It's like Rambo. Yeah, or Home Alone. Well, yeah, he's setting traps and he's sneaking up behind people and he's taking them out one by one. Yeah, he doesn't do the rock bottom though. No. So he takes out all the guards anyway, but in doing so, he gets stuck in the leg by an arrow, and it's an arrow which has been poisoned with scorpion's venom. Yeah, disgusting. Yeah. So he comes out, Arpid and the sorceress say, oh, you're alive, well done for taking out all those guards. But then he collapses like a big clumsy fool. Well, he's been poisoned. I mean, it's not clumsy or foolish. It is, no. As the night goes on, they set up camp, and Matthias' health is getting worse and worse, and eventually the sorceress decides she can heal him. So, do you remember how she heals him? Yeah, she straddles him in her little outfit, in his little outfit, and she takes her knife right next to his, and she sucks his breath. Yeah, she sucks the air out of him, the bad air out of him. Yeah, quite internet. And sick, sorceress, you're not sick, right? They travel on, and they find this lovely oasis with a nice little wonderwall, not that kind of oasis. They find an oasis with a nice little pool and flowers and fruit and plants and things like that. And it looks lovely. And also, the inventor is there. Yeah, how did he get out? I'm not sure. I'm sure it probably says in the movie, but I don't remember them mentioning it. I hope they say. I'm sure they do. Anyway, they just meet him, they go for a swim, and then they are surrounded by more armed guards. But it's not Memnon's guards. No, this time, these are the soldiers of Balthazar. And Balthazar's a giant guy. He's a big, huge guy. It's, what's his name? Clark Duncan? Michael Clark Duncan, yeah. And his soldiers capture Matthias and his friends, and they take him to Balthazar. Balthazar says, you are a dirty Arcadian, you are assassin, you are scum of the earth, basically. So, Matthias and Balthazar have a fight. Yeah, it goes on for ages and ages. It's quite good. It's two giant guys beating each other up, using swords and then using their hands and using whatever they can get. And just when you think Balthazar's got the upper hand, Matthias takes control, and then at the end, Matthias gets Balthazar at the end of his arrow. But he says, listen, we need to work together to take out Memnon. And Balthazar says, yeah, I suppose. And they're best friends. Well, after that, it's like Rocky and Apollo. So the sorceress has a vision that night of them losing, basically. Of Memnon standing tall and Matthias being struck in the back by an arrow. Yeah, it's not looking good. So then she spends the night with Matthias and has sexy time. Yeah, okay. In the morning when Matthias wakes up, the sorceress is gone. We find out she's returned to the palace. Yeah, did she actually really like Memnon? Or is she just being an inside agent? Yeah, I think so, yeah. Apparently, she's lost her power though, because if a sorceress spends a night with a man, then she loses her power. Yeah. Okay. So Matthias, Balthazar's armies all sneak into the palace. They infiltrate the palace. Good guard, thanks. And they go in and they start taking out guards quietly. For a while, but then they're quickly discovered, and then it's a big battle. Yeah, because in the palace there's a big feast going on, a big celebration. Why? I don't actually know, but it's a big celebration anyway. Matthias and Memnon finally meet, and they have a fight inside Memnon's room. I don't know, some big room. And yeah, and somehow it becomes a fight in between, in amongst snakes and fire, and it's very treacherous. It's treacherous. But Memnon runs off. He runs off, and then Matthias has to jump through fire to go and find him. Yeah, and there's all these little battles going on, and all these big battles going on, and it's alright. It's action packed. It's definitely action packed. While Matthias is chasing Memnon, an archer fires on Matthias, and he gets hit in the back, just like the sorceress saw. Yep, exactly. And then he looks, and Memnon is at the top of a palace on like a turret. Yeah, and he's like, come on, come ahead, Matthias. Yeah. So Matthias is not feeling great because he's got an arrow in his back, but he picks up a bow from a fallen soldier, and he pulls the arrow out of his back and says, catch this, and fires an arrow. Yeah, and it's such a powerful blast of an arrow, and then none can't catch it. It goes right into his chest, doosh, knocking him off the tower, and he's a goner. He is. Now, just as this was happening, as Matthias was pulling back the string on the bow to fire the arrow, we saw Balthazar and all the other little bands of soldiers, of good guys, being surrounded by bands of soldiers of bad guys, and all the bad guys are going, rah, because there were so many of them that were outnumbering Balthazar and all that easily, like by a lot. Yeah, an awful lot. Yeah, and then as soon as Memnon falls off the tower to his death, then everyone just stops. I don't know how they all saw, I don't know how they all know, but they just instantly stopped. Yeah. And someone shouts, long live the king! And they all look at Matthias, and he's the new king. It's as simple as that. So if you want to be the king, go and see Charles. And no, don't encourage that. Well, I guess times has changed. Times have definitely changed. So now all the land is united. The Scorpion King reigns with the sorceress at his side. Balthazar leaves with his armies, and they say to each other, anytime you need me, give me a call. I'll be there. Yeah, and it's a happy ending all round. The end. So it's not the longest movie. No, it's not. It's not the most substance filled. No. It's not the most intricate story. No, it's not. But did you like it? It's alright. I think if I saw it back in the day, I'd like it more. Yeah, see, I've got a soft spot for it because it was The Rock's first film and I was such a big fan back then. That night, well, I still like The Rock. I just feel like at the moment, every film he makes now, he can't be hurt, he can't be injured, he can't show any weakness, he can't show any humanity. That's a shame. It is a shame. It's the Steven Seagal problem. Because Steven Seagal always said, no one gets to land a hit on me. And even if someone does land a hit on The Rock in his latest movies, it's got no effect. Yeah, it'd be not interesting nor fun if he was like beaten up. Yeah, do you know what's a good film? Walking Tall. What's that? Well, that's The Rock's second film. And in that, he is beaten up and he's almost, he's left for dead. And he has to come back and beat up the bad guys. That sounds good. It is. It is good. Anyway, I'm still a fan of The Rock. But I do prefer The Rock 1999 to 2005, 6 to The Rock of the 2020s. Right. Anyway, what did the movie? Alright, well, yeah, the movie's good. It doesn't hold up amazingly well. It's a fun little movie. I think it's a good action adventure for younger viewers, right? And I'll probably watch it again at some point. Really? Maybe. I won't. Oh, you not? No, it's fine that one and done. That was plenty. But, decent. Okay. So, can you watch another video? Hit subscribe and hit like. And maybe, just maybe, you will one day be a Scorpion King. I won't be a Scorpion King. Unite. Right, we're going to go, but thank you so much for watching. Hakuna Tente! Goodbye. Bye.